Got Jay. Where you from, Jay?
I'm from Baltimore. You know,
So, what is your connection with the Ravens?
my connection with the Ravens is I've been a diehard fan since I can remember, man.
Okay, so you go back to when they became from the Browns.
I go back to 1996 when they touched down. Yes, sir. I touched
Okay,
down.
so
We had Ray Lewis, Jonathan Ogden, all the legends. Ed Reed, even back when we had Rod Woodson, Dwayne Starks. I can go through all the eras. The Kyle Bowler era. I can go through all that.
okay, well let's bring it to the present.
Okay.
Right now, your team is in a battle with my Steelers. Midway through the third quarter, it's 7-7. Yes, you're sitting out a lot of players, but what do you think about the way your team is playing right now?
I think we playing like trash, but they the
Like trash?
backup. They playing like trash. It's the backups. Yeah, the weather bad. They sloppy today.
Okay, so
Ain't no
what
way
can
to
be
put
done
it.
about it?
To be honest with you, whether we win or lose this game, it don't matter. I would like to see us win. In the name of bragging rights, y'all beat us early in the year, so I do want to get this dub. But I mean, this game ain't important. I mean, at the end of the day, we got bigger fish to fry. This y'all Super Bowl right here. So
Well, we're gonna win the game. We're going to the playoffs, man. But but seriously though, what does the Ravens mean to the town itself?
the Ravens to the town itself, it means a lot, man. You got Baltimore when football is on, when football is you feel me, when football season is up. If you're a Ravens fan, you go all out for your Ravens, man. I mean,
Okay.
Baltimore got a lot of Ravens fans. You got a lot of Steelers fans there as well. So, of course, the friendly battles is always good. I don't never mind powwowing with a Steelers fan and having the bragging rights and all of that. It's all in the fun of the game, man. But I love my Ravens. The city of Baltimore love the Ravens. It brings the city together sometimes. I mean, you got this stuff that goes on in the city. When football season is up, the Ravens bring the city together, man. So, it's a good thing.
Okay,
And here go a
so
touchdown.
it's who just scored a touchdown?
Your boy Deontay.
Oh, well, being that there, it's been a lag in the sports area in Baltimore. Is there more Redskin Commanders fans there, or Ravens and Browns or the Steelers?
Nah, it's Ravens. If it's not Ravens, you got the Steelers. You might got some Cowboys trickled in, some Patriots trickled in, but ain't too many Commanders fans. Baltimore and DC are two different entities, so you don't really see too many Commanders fans. It's few in between. Of course, you're gonna find a fan a little straggler here and there. You're gonna have some Lions fans, some whatever fans, but it's primarily Ravens. You'll see some Steelers, you'll see some Cowboys, some Patriots, and that's really for the most part what you see up there.
So what do the people feel about the Colts nowadays?
I mean, me personally, they stole our team. And you know, you got the people that say we stole the Browns, but we didn't pack up a truck in the middle of the night and take the whole team. We let them know, hey, give us a new stadium. They didn't oblige. So the ownership say, okay, we gonna take our team, we gonna go. We gave them notice. I think that was good. I think that was good business. Versus the Colts, they went and just took us like a thief in the night and went to a new city, and we ain't have a team. So it's two different things, man. I
So
feel it.
people really don't care about them at all no more.
You got
Because I
some people
always
that like the Colts, but when you got your OGs, you got the people that actually witnessed the Baltimore Colts. See me, I didn't witness the Baltimore Colts, so I don't really feel the intimacy that a lot of people feel. But I still acknowledge the fact that was our team and they stole our team. So for me, I look at them. I don't hate them, but I acknowledge that fact. So
well, right now they've been in Indianapolis longer than they were in Baltimore. So my thing is
yeah,
this: I kind of feel like you felt the way they packed
mhm.
up and moved like that because even now when I see Colts, I'm thinking Baltimore. So my thing is the Colts can't go to the Super Bowl unless they come through Baltimore. The year that they won it, they had to go through the Ravens.
Mhm.
You believe in anything like that?
Hold on, say it again.
I say the year that the Colts won the Super Bowl, they had to go through Baltimore. I think that
Oh
if the
yeah,
Colts are ever going to win, they're going to have to go to Baltimore to do it.
oh yep. Yeah, that was one of the worst games I ever seen. All field goals, and we could have scored. We could have scored a touchdown and won that game, and we didn't. I'm still mad at that game to this day.
Yeah, okay, well, let's get to the topic at hand. I call this show Lamar Jackson and the Ravens' chance at a Super Bowl run. What do you think your chances are of reaching the Super Bowl?
I'm going to be 100% honest. If we don't win a Super Bowl, it's a disappointment, flat out.
Okay,
With what
so
we did, with what we did this year, with what we've had been doing this year, if we don't win a Super Bowl, to me and to a large portion of my fan base, I feel it would be a disappointment because of the games that we played this year. I can go
okay,
down the list of the I can go down the list of how I feel like we played the Lions, we blew them out. That's supposed to be a dominant team in the league, right? We blow them out like they nothing. Seattle, when they still had the good record, we blew them out.
okay.
You look at our schedule. Every team that we played to this point, coming into week 18, every single team that we played is 500 or better, except for three of them.
Well, you did
So,
beat the top teams in the league. I'll give you that.
yep, we lost to
But
Indy, we lost to Pittsburgh, and we lost to Cleveland, which we also beat them too.
okay, well,
Everybody
the
else
thing,
we beat them.
being a coach, I realize that every time I play somebody, no matter if I beat you or not, it's going to be a different game the next time I see you. So, what makes you
Absolutely.
think the other teams won't have a different plan when you play them?
I don't think that they won't have a different plan. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. We played Cleveland, we beat them once, they beat us once. So it's always going to be a new plan. But I feel like for the Ravens, we come ready to play every week. If you look at our statistics all year, it's a statistic that the Ravens have had a fourth quarter lead in every game.
Yeah.
There's a stat where at the final 2-minute warning of every game, we had a lead. So that means we come to play every week, regardless of who you are. Regardless, we got to play you once or twice. We come to play every week. And you can go as far back as 2 or 3 years where no team has blown us out. If we lose, no team has blown us out, whether Lamar Jackson is on the field or not. We come to play every week. So I feel like we're going to come prepared. And if we lose, it's because of mental errors. I'll always give another team their just due. But in large portion, I feel like if we lose, it's preventable. I feel like we could be undefeated right now.
Yeah, but that's a tall order to go undefeated nowadays.
It's definitely a tall order, but when you look at the circumstances, it's one thing to just say it. But when you look at having the lead at the final 2-minute warning, you're not supposed to lose that lead. But we did it
Okay.
3 times.
Well, how about this? What do you think
Yes,
Lamar
sir.
Jackson is going to do come playoff time?
I think Lamar Jackson's going to stay true to who he is, and I think that he's going to rally his team, and I think we're going to take it all the way.
Well, when I look at what the Ravens are doing and I look at the way Jackson is playing, he's looking to throw more now than run. But when he has to throw the football is what concerns me about him. You take last week when they played Miami and lit them up, a lot of those touchdown passes was on defense. What are you going to do if a team's like you up with man coverage?
The
He's got to
another
put it
thing
in
that
there.
All right, let me tell you what I noticed about Lamar Jackson this year. He takes what you
Tell
give
me.
him. He takes what you give him. If you take away the throw, he gonna light you up the run. We got the number one rushing offense in the league, led by Lamar Jackson, who's not trying to run. We got multiple running backs, to which two of them are hurt. You look at how our team is. You look at the state of our team. You look at who we have. Mark Andrews, who's been hurt for the last 6 weeks. He
Yeah.
ain't done nothing but win since he got hurt. So if you look at another player like a Patrick Mahomes, you take away a Travis Kelce, what do you have? So
How
for
much?
me, so
Yeah.
for me, I feel like Lamar Jackson gives us the best chance to win, and all he has to do is go out there and be himself. If you take away the pass, we can run the ball with either Lamar or any of the running backs we have on our team. We just brought in Dalvin Cook. Hopefully, he got that chip on his shoulder and he ready to ball. But I feel
Okay.
like whatever you take away, we can exploit whatever you try to take away. Lamar Jackson is that good.
Well, going back to the adjustment part of the game, a lot of coaches hold back stuff in the regular season that you're not going to see until the playoffs, and that's been the issue with the Ravens. If you go back 4 years ago, that victory that Tennessee put on you when Derrick Henry was showing out that night, they came
Hmm.
up with a different game plan, and they pretty much beat Baltimore at their own game. So
Yeah,
I'm telling you right now, I don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to play completely different in the playoffs than what you've been seeing in the regular season.
I agree, but that can be twofold. We gonna bring something different too. And another thing I will say is when it comes to that Tennessee game, yeah, they brought up something different, but they also pounded the ball against us, something that we did very well that year. and for some reason we abandoned the run that day. That was our bread and butter, and we abandoned the run that day. Lamar had 500 yards total offense, and we lost the game. We should have stuck to what we knew.
Well, I'm gonna tick you off a little bit and let me know what you think. Being a high
Okay.
school coach, going
Okay.
back to that team they had 4 years ago, I seen the offense that they run. They run in double tight, they run in extra linemen, they overloading the line, and then they play action pass to the flat. Never did they
Mhm.
press the field a whole lot. So when I look at that offense, that is a high school offense to me. And I affectionately started calling them the Baltimore High School Ravens. What do you say to that?
I'm not mad at you because you know why? You know who our offensive coordinator was then and up until last year? Greg
Yeah.
Roman. And
Okay.
that year, that offense was special. Yeah, we ran the ball, and that was his bread and butter. We ran the ball, and it was unstoppable that year. The issue with Greg Roman, it dates back to when he was in San Francisco. It dates back to when he was in Buffalo when he got fired before he came to us. When he had Colin Kaepernick and got him to that Super Bowl, what happened to San Francisco? They became one-dimensional.
Okay.
The same thing happened to us over the last few years where it became one-dimensional. The only difference is Lamar Jackson was still the best player on the field, but then he got hurt 2 years in a row. So that does a lot. We're not going to make any noise with Lamar Jackson now on the field. So I feel
Okay.
like with him on the field, we still had the best. Even with Greg Roman, Lamar Jackson gave us the best chance to win. Now we don't have Greg Roman. Now we have this guy Monken. Now we got a top 4 offense in the league, and we're passing the ball to do it as well as running the ball.
But where those two teams mirror, the team that you have now and the team you had then, you were number one seed and you were running the football. Teams
Yep.
then had a feeling that they can beat Baltimore. I got a feeling that they still think that they can beat Baltimore. I've even said that Baltimore is a very beatable team. So what do you think Baltimore can do to counteract the thought that they can be beat?
Beat them. Beat them. That's the only thing he can do. Shut them up. That's what we've been
You're
doing
right.
all year. Everybody came with the attitude that they can beat us. But one thing we doing now that we didn't do then, Lamar Jackson spreading that ball around. When you look back at our offense back then, we had. Can you name our wide receivers back then?
A couple of them.
Let me
If I
tell
think
you,
about it, I can name a couple of them.
we had a rookie Marquise Brown.
I remember him,
We
Hollywood,
had a we had a rookie Miles Boykin who was at the bottom of y'all bench right now.
Willis Need.
Yeah, we had Willie Snead. We had Seth Roberts, who's no
Yeah.
longer in the league. We had a second year Mark Andrews and a second year Hayden Hurst at tight end.
Okay.
What talent do you see there besides Hollywood Brown being a hopeful as a rookie? What talent do you see?
Yeah, but in defense of the selection process, you choose the players that are available that you think are going to make your team better. So in hindsight, we can look at that and say that wasn't a good choice, but back then, maybe that was the best that was out there.
And no, back then, even back then, we knew that those receivers were not good. We knew Hollywood was good. We thought Miles Boykin could be good, but the what's the word I'm looking for? The what they wanted to do, their philosophy and what they wanted to do was run the ball. They wanted their receivers to be able to block and run up the field. They wanted to have an offense that dominated the run, which is what they did. So we didn't necessarily have receivers that were gonna beat you on, you feel me, one-on-one routes and beat you down the field. We had guys that were reliable that we thought they could, like Willie Snead. We felt that he was a third down guy that whenever we needed a conversion, we can go to him and he can make a play. But
So I
we
can
knew that we
assume
didn't
that
have a
you
guy.
believe, huh?
We knew we didn't have a guy. We thought that we would find one in the rookies, but we knew that we didn't have a guy back then.
So with Odell Beckham and Flowers, you consider this a much better football team.
I do.
Okay, so having said that, who are the biggest threats to the Ravens in your opinion in the
Who are the
AFC?
biggest who are the biggest threats to the Ravens? I
Yeah, in
have
the
two teams.
AFC.
I have two teams that I'm not going to say I don't want to play them, but I will say that I feel that if we play them, they will give us their best shot, and it'll be a good game that they'll probably give us our best chance to lose. But I still think we'll win, and that's the Browns and the Bills.
Okay, tell me why the Browns. They got Joe Flacco. He's going to be motivated to play against the Ravens, you think?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Lamar Jackson took Joe Flacco's job. Joe Flacco, I don't know what he's on now, but the enthusiasm and all of the enthusiasm that he has, he didn't show in Baltimore. He's playing like he got nothing to lose. He's playing very loose, and he's playing like he got some, and he
Well,
got some talent around him as well. So I feel
he,
like a motivated Joe Flacco on that team with a great defense similar to ours, playing at a high level like they're playing. Given we already lost to this team that we should have won, we lost. We gave up 30 points to this team. We shouldn't have done that. But they also gave up 30 points too. Two great defenses. They went head to head, and both defenses were not good. That means the offenses were doing something right. But I feel like they got a spark lit under their ass right now. Excuse me. But it's gonna be a good game if we play them. It's gonna be a good game if we play them.
okay, I'm not really sold on the Browns because if I'm playing against the Browns, I'm gonna blitz Flacco. I'm gonna put him on his back and see if he can throw that way.
They've
He's
been
got a little
blitzing.
age on him,
They've
and
been
that would
blitzing them. They can't stop them.
say
That
what?
offensive line is very good.
Yeah, it's a
You
good
gotta
football
remember,
team.
yeah, but you gotta remember that Browns team lost Nick Chubb, and we thought they were done for. They went through 4 quarterbacks, and they still had a chance at the end to be a 1 seed. So that's a really good team that he playing with.
Well, what you said just then reminds me of the situation here in Jacksonville. They got this guy Trevor Lawrence. They stuck him out there when he was beat up for a couple of weeks when they should have sat him because they don't have any confidence in their backup quarterback. My thing is, if he's good enough to make a pro football team, why is he not good enough to put him out there when your star quarterback gets hurt? Why would you not go with your backup quarterback in a situation like that?
It's all about the pick of the litter. You look at this year. This is the year of the backup. You see some very good backups. You see some backups that aren't that good.
Okay.
PJ Beathard is not that good.
No, but they
That's
can hand
really
the
what it
ball
comes
off.
down. That's what it comes down to. You can't be that one dimensional. You can't. Trevor, I'm sorry, ETN, you can't. You're gonna shut him down. Then what you gonna do? You gonna throw
Okay.
5 more interceptions?
So do you see Jacksonville getting in the playoffs?
To be honest with you, I've been actually making my own little playoff predictions, and I feel like the Jaguars will miss the playoffs. I feel like they're gonna lose to Tennessee because Trevor might not play. I think Tennessee is gonna come and they're gonna beat them. I think the winner of that, of course, the winner of that division game, the Titans and the not the Titans, the
They
Colts
play
and
the
the
Texans
Texans
tonight.
tonight. Yeah,
Yeah.
the winner of that game, I think, wins the division.
Well, if that's the case, that opens it up for Pittsburgh. But personally, I don't think Pittsburgh deserves to be in the playoffs. When you lose to Arizona and New England, the two worst teams of the league, back to back, you don't deserve to go to the playoffs.
I agree. I absolutely agree. But the Jaguars don't deserve to go either. They lost 4 in a row and blew out the worst team in the league to get their confidence back.
Yeah. But Pittsburgh is a team that will cause you problems, but I don't think they're going to be there. But the other team you mentioned, the Bills, why are the Bills a threat to you?
Well, they are in a game tomorrow that determines who gets the 2 seed. On the flip side, if they lose that game, they could either make the playoffs or miss the playoffs, depending on scenarios. It's kind of a toss up between Pittsburgh and Buffalo. So if Buffalo makes the playoffs, they've been hot. And they've been particularly hot since they got rid of that coordinator. And then you
Well,
say you bring up the point about you bring something different in the playoffs. Now, when you look at how they played down the stretch, they've been doing a lot of running the ball. You haven't seen a whole lot of Stephon Diggs, who's one of the most dynamic receivers in the league.
right.
You have that rookie tight end, Dalton Kincaid, who also been quiet down the stretch. I feel like they're going to bring something different come playoff time, and it's going to be hard to play against.
Well, being with the Steelers for over 40 years, I know how things usually work for them. Tiebreakers never work out for Pittsburgh. So if it comes down to Pittsburgh and Buffalo, just go ahead and put a line through Pittsburgh, and they're going to blow it some kind of way.
I remember one particular tiebreaker situation vividly, and that's the year that we were playing, and y'all were taking that knee on the field, waiting for the result of our game. That took
Yeah,
very near and dear to my heart.
I'm just telling you, it never works out for the Steelers, man. They are either up here or they win the division or they're not going anywhere. It never works out for them.
Yeah, now win this game, and who knows?
Okay, so if Buffalo is there, they're probably going to be the AFC East champion, or you say they're probably going to be out of it. You think they're going to be out the playoffs?
It's out of y'all enough, and I think they probably end up being out of it if they lose.
So they're playing Miami tomorrow, and Miami's hurt, and they're already in the playoffs, so they got nothing to play for. Kind of like what you
They,
have here tonight.
yeah, Miami got nothing to play for but that 2 seed. They can be the 2 seed or they can be I guess, the 6 seed. So that division game, that home game means a lot to them, I'm sure. So I'm sure they're gonna go all out.
Well, it does, but I just think Miami's falling apart, man. There's just something about them that just don't strike me as this is a great team.
Don't let that game that we played against them sway you against them.
Oh, it's not because I know they are a threat offensively.
Yeah. Defensively, they did lose Bradley Chubb. Xavier Howard did get hurt. I don't know how long he's going to be out, but I still think they're a threat.
Well, what do you think about the Texans? They playing pretty good football. So are the Colts.
Now I will say the Colts beat us. So if they make the playoffs, I want them. I want them because I want to beat them.
So what are
When it
your
comes to
huh?
Now, when it comes to the Texans, they're a completely different team from the one that we played in week 1. That's a
Okay,
very talented quarterback over there.
C.J. Stroud.
Yep.
All right, so now you had your way with the NFC side. So if you had to play somebody in the NFC in the Super Bowl, who are you looking at?
To be honest with you, the 49ers are far and away the best team in the NFC.
Okay.
So I think they're gonna go. Now, if they don't go, the team that I think might end up going is possibly the Rams.
Well, the Rams are hot, but I think
Yeah.
Detroit know they can beat the Rams, and they know they can beat Dallas.
Yep. I think if they match up with Dallas, they beat Dallas.
Okay. So you predicting Baltimore and who? Detroit?
I'm predicting Baltimore and San Francisco.
Well,
Detroit was my pick going into the year, but I'm going to go with San Francisco.
I think San Francisco, when they're healthy, they should be there. But you know
Yeah,
how that supposed to be crap goes. But a
yeah,
lot
I
of
know.
people are they're saying that the fairy tale Super Bowl would be the Browns playing against the Lions because neither team has ever been to the Super Bowl.
I've heard that thrown around, and I would absolutely hate to see that. Just
Wow.
because I would hate to see it. Like, they throwing that script word around, right? I just would hate to see the 2 worst teams in the history of the league to make the Super Bowl. Like,
Okay, hold it right there. You just said the two worst teams. How do you figure those two teams are the two worst teams? They got a lot of
legacy
championships.
legacy wise. Now the Browns, yes, they do got a lot of championships, but let's say lately, not the history, recent history. Let's say,
Okay, well, I give you that. But Detroit's been terrible lately. But they got some championships in the '50s too. They got several Hall of
yeah,
Famers. So
yeah, they
that's
got
been a pretty
championships.
decent.
They don't got Lombardis. They got championships like Johnny Unitas back in the day. That's a
They hadn't been
championship.
to the Super Bowl. Correct.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, I give you that. So have you been following the college?
I've been following somewhat, not as much as some, but I've been keeping tabs on some of the news that's been coming out, like the whole Washington. I think Washington going to the chip. I think the whole Florida State situation when they didn't make the playoffs and all of that. I've been
What?
following somewhat, but I can't give you too much on that.
Well, you didn't see the semifinal games.
I didn't see it. I've been trying to follow, but I haven't watched them.
Well, what you ended up with is Washington beat Texas, and
Mm-hmm.
Alabama lost to Michigan. So you got Michigan playing Washington in Houston.
You know what?
Uh,
I did know that because I made a
they-
prediction.
what's your prediction?
I'm going with the whole script. I'm going with Jim Harbaugh winning the championship and riding up to the sunset and going back to the NFL. And to add to that, that's what brings the Ravens and the 49ers back to the Super Bowl to kind of stack onto that storyline.
So it's a big storyline. That's
I
what
feel
you
like that's
see.
how it's going. I feel like that's how it's going to work out. I somewhat believe the script. I somewhat believe in that script theory that they talk about.
Well, let me tag on to that. A lot of people say that a lot of NFL games are fixed. You believe that?
I do believe it in some capacity. Now, I know these players go out there and they play their hearts out every day. But when you look at these questionable calls and you look at some of the things that dictate the game,
Hmm.
All of that stuff is dictated by Vegas, I believe. I believe they making calls throughout the game to say we need to make this happen. Because some of these calls are questionable. Some of these
Well,
calls they need to call and they should, and then got calls they shouldn't call that they call. So
you know why? Because they be on the phone with New York during the game.
hmm
And New York is making
hmm
the call. So
they on
that
the phone with New York and they on the phone with them bookies.
I can go with that. But going back to college, we talking Michigan and Washington. I don't know how old you are, but these two they played in a couple Rose Bowls. The first one that I seen them play myself was '91 after the '91 season. If you know, Washington only has one championship. They split that
Okay.
year with Miami. They ran through the Pac-10 at the time, and they played Michigan. They weren't a great Michigan team, but they still won the Big Ten. Washington
Mhm.
blew them out. And if I'm not mistaken, Desmond Howard was on that team, and
Okay.
they were mocking Desmond Howard with the Heisman pose. Oh, they blew him out. Mark Brunell was on that team. Brock Hewitt. They had this guy named Bean O'Brien. He was bad. And the guy that played for the Colts, Steve Entman, he was a surefire Hall of Famer if he kept getting hurt. He never played 3 seasons because he kept getting hurt. But that guy was a definite Hall of Famer. He was on that team. So after Washington blew him out, Michigan, they got that on their chest. They want to get him back. So they had a rematch the following season, and
hmm
Washington ended up losing 38-31. So these are two teams that had some history. Nobody said that, but Michigan feel like they're a superior program. But I think if they can't get to that quarterback, it might be a long night for Michigan.
Like I said, I can't speak too much only because I didn't watch it enough to really get the feel for who is who and what's what. But I do know the medal that Jim Harbaugh brings to the team. That's one thing
Okay,
I can speak for.
so you think he's more wanted in the NFL, or should he stay in college? I mean, he's got his program running. Why would you run the NFL? Well, it's uncertain.
I feel like just to leave all of that tarnished legacy stuff behind him in Michigan, where everything was going on, go out into the sunset, go out on top.
Okay, well, this is sports for real. I'm talking with Jay from Baltimore, Ravens fan. He can't be a Steeler, so he had to join the Ravens. So, you got anything else you would like to talk about concerning pro sports or anything related to Lamar Jackson and the Ravens?
Um, I did have a little bit of something prepared to talk about if we did get on the topic about Lamar
Come
Jackson,
on with it.
and it's this whole thing about they talking about he don't have the stats, he ain't quarterbacky, and all of this mess. Lamar
Okay,
Jackson, one thing you got to know about Lamar Jackson is he's going to go out there and try to prove everybody wrong. Lamar Jackson has a forever chip on his shoulder, and
okay.
he thrives off of the doubters.
That's most
Now,
NFL players.
say again?
Most players are like that.
Yeah, but one thing I will say, when it comes to stats, a lot of what they say about the stats is very much overblown.
Okay. So
Now,
tell
when
me.
it comes to now, how do you feel about running, scrambling quarterbacks or quarterbacks that can run? How do you feel about them?
Well, I got an insight that's different from most because in high school, that was me. We ran the
Okay,
wishbone, and when we dropped back to pass, and it wasn't there, it was easier for me to escape from the pocket because I had a little bit of speed and quickness. So I understand his viewpoint when he's standing back there, nobody's open.
so as a coach and as a former quarterback yourself, I'll ask you this: as a quarterback that can run, as a quarterback that's as dynamic as Lamar Jackson when he does run the ball, when you factor in the amount of passing yards a quarterback has and the amount of rushing yards that he has, do they count just the same to you?
It count just the same if you get some points out of it.
Exactly.
But the
So when
problem
you
with a
look at
running quarterback is you run out of real estate when you get toward the end zone. You can't do what you did at the 50-yard line inside the 10.
absolutely, and I got some points to make. All right. So heading into this week, right? Lamar
Yeah.
Jackson, he had 3,658 passing yards, but he also had 821 rushing yards,
I saw that.
which in total puts him at 4,499 total yards, which puts him third in total yards out of all quarterbacks.
Okay.
But all year you heard he doesn't have the numbers. He's not getting the gaudy numbers. But another statement I have about the gaudy numbers, a lot of times when you get those huge numbers like Josh Allen, it comes with inefficiency and getting those extra possessions that you wouldn't normally get,
Right.
playing in garbage time, trying to come back and play from behind and all of that. which we don't play from behind. And even in that
Well,
same token, Lamar Jackson has more yards, total yards, than Josh Allen in that same regard. Nobody
well,
has more yards than Lamar Jackson except for Tua and Mahomes.
my college coach said stats are for losers. Nobody pays attention to that until you lose a game. So if you're winning, nobody really cares. But
Absolutely.
I'm I'm somewhat of a critic of Jackson because I'm watching him throw the ball downfield. Because when the championship's on the line, he's gonna have to stand back there and throw it. He's got to get a couple of them in there. He can't depend on running and escaping. That's easy. But when you
And
get
he
to the
will.
point where you got to throw it, he's got to do it.
And he will. And he's showing you that he can do it. Prime example, this last game, he's done it. He got some savvy in him. He can do it.
He's
He
got to
ain't
do it.
as consistent as you would like him to be in some instances, but that's all quarterbacks at the end of the day. Everybody gonna have an off day.
But the other part of the Jackson issue that I have is the offense that they run. It's still, to me, basic in a lot of ways. He throws the majority of his passes to the tight ends in those short 5-6 yard routes. I mean, you're not stretching the defense like that. So that's what I mean. You got to throw it downfield. If he can complete a couple downfield and open that defense up, that opens a lot of things that they can do. But if all you're going to do is hit little 5 yard outs, that ain't going to last in the playoffs.
I mean, I say this: he did it, and it did open up downfield. But he gonna take what you give him. If you're taking away the downfield because you think, oh, I'm gonna box him in, and I'm gonna make him run, or I'm gonna make him do this, he gonna find a way to make it happen, as you've seen
Okay.
all year. Like I say, we played great teams all year, and he's done what you're criticizing all year. But at the end of the day, like you said, the only thing that matters at the end of the day is the W or the L. And he's been
Correct.
getting that W more times than not. And he can push the ball down the field if you give it to him, but he ain't gonna force nothing.
Well, my question is this. If you
All right.
get deep into the playoffs and you get knocked off, what's next? What do they have to do next? I mean, you win all these regular season games and you get knocked off in the playoffs. What must the Ravens do to get over that hump?
That's why I said we need to win. Because I don't see that we have a weakness aside from Mark Andrews being injured, but we've been winning anyway. Our best two running backs that we were supposed to be riding to the playoffs, they both are hurt. J.K. Dobbins at the beginning of the year and Keaton Mitchell in the middle of the year. They both gone. So we are losing elements of our offense that would help us be stronger than what we are. But we can't use that as an excuse because we're winning. And we're
Okay.
winning convincingly. So I feel like we still had no choice but to win. Period. And if we do lose, what should we do next year? I don't know, because everything that we did this year had us in a position to win if we got down to it.
Well, that's
If we
pretty much
lose,
all you can ask. But at the same time, it's about this much difference between the best team in the league and the worst team in the league. So the best team, they can't make mistakes to bring them closer to the other teams. It causes a
exactly.
problem. All it takes is a turnover here or there. It changes everything. But
Mm-hmm.
one last thing I would like to talk about is the MVP race. Um,
Yes, sir.
Looked like to me he should be able to win that MVP race, but they
Yes,
still
sir.
are high on Christian McCaffrey and Purdy. Now on the field, Jackson outperformed them, partly because you have the better defense. Your defense is probably the best in the league. And they shut
Yeah.
Purdy down and McCaffrey and all those other teams, while Jackson was not slow. So do you think that it's a runaway, or do you think they're going to pull it and give it to somebody else?
I think Lamar Jackson is going to win his second MVP. And just like, yeah, we may have the number one defense in the league, but San Francisco's defense isn't a slouch either. They've been blowing teams out the same way we blew them out. They've been blowing everybody else out.
Okay, I
They
just
did the
thought of
same thing
something
for the
else I want to
Cowboys.
ask.
Huh?
One other thing I did want to ask, I was about to cut it, but these teams, when they have these top seeds, they always sit their players out, then go into a bye. I think that has an effect on teams when they get into the playoffs because they're not hitting on all cylinders. Would you agree or disagree with that theory?
I somewhat agree.
So why do the teams continue to do it? If they study all this data about analytics, why would they not?
Because they want to make sure that team is healthy, which I can kind of concur with as well. You just seen TJ. I don't know if you're watching, but TJ Watt went down with an injury, and he might. I don't know if it's bad, but
I
he
didn't
could
see
be
it.
out. Yeah, he could be out. I don't know. He has a knee injury. That's one component. You don't want to risk having your best players out there and getting hurt in a meaningless game.
But he had to
But I
play.
do. But I do
Pittsburgh had to play.
understand. Yeah, he had to
Yeah.
play. I'm talking about on our end. we had nothing to play for. So I understand benching our players, but in the same token, it does run you the risk of running cold because you got to sit a whole nother week as well.
Right. So you're going to be sitting ice cold for 2 weeks with your best players. Yeah, you can heal up some injuries, but I think the rhythm and timing is much more important than sitting them out too long.
Yep.
So,
Same token, I do think that the way that we ran our program this year, we didn't have a bye until week 13. We
yeah,
played consistent ball. So I do think that they could use that rest, and I don't think that it'll really have as much of an impact because they probably don't feel like they're rested. They don't feel like they had. I feel like at this point of the year, they played how many games they played since the bye? 4 or 5 games.
yeah,
I think this is the opportunity to get the team completely healthy because you have everybody that's been nicked up and that's been missing games anyway because of little here and there nagging injuries. So I think this is the opportunity to get everybody at full strength. The one player that I'm concerned about is, like I said, Lamar Jackson hitting on all cylinders, been sitting for 2 weeks, but I think he'll be fine.
okay. Well, with that, I'd like to talk to you again sometime and keep track, with what's going on in the playoffs if you want to come on again.
Absolutely. If we lose, I'll be on here. If we win, I'll be on here.
All right,
Whenever
then.
you want me on, give me a call.
I'll be in contact with you, but you know how to get to this video, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, then. Well, I'll keep you posted, man. I appreciate you
Uh,
coming on and talking to me.
all right. Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
All right, this is Sports for Real. We out.
All right.
All right, man.